Hey, welcome everybody. On time today, more or less. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning, Rick. This morning. Wow, you're jumping the gun.
Hi, Rick.
Hey, okay. So just to let everybody know, what happened yesterday is I had a problem with my with uh, just sound in my computer. It eventually had to be restarted, and this morning I've just found what I suspect to be the reason why. I absolutely detest products by McAfee. I never let them near my computer. I found a product on my computer by McAfee. A pop-up popped up because the problem with McAfee is it is advertising everywhere, and it takes control of your computer, and if you let it will kill you the speed of your computer. So I've always been very aware this is it uses a supposedly good name for virus killing, but it is one of the worst products on the market. And good morning, Slick.
Hey, what's going on, Gary?
Yep. Okay, so we start here. Ford is keen on amalgamation.
Yes, we know that.
Yeah. We knew that.
Yes. According to the article there, that amalgamation was even Bob Gale was backing off on amalgamation a bit because of the extraordinary resistance that was out there. He had positive feedback on some fronts and negative on the other. So even Bob was backing off on that a bit, trying to find a sort of a more of a middle ground or a more of a persuasive way to get to amalgamation. Ford himself has pointed out again that we've got 126 politicians, and he says in his, and I'll quote him, voting for amalgamation, when you've got that many politicians, there is, for them to vote for amalgamation is like turkeys voting for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. I thought that was pretty good. And now what has happened here in the article is that a bunch of mayors did get back to the Fed or the provincial government, and a lot of them did not completely close out amalgamation. They didn't particularly like it, but found in between measures that would help a little bit better, and they're reviewing those. But Ford has said that he's going to stay out of it. It's up to the mayors to decide.
Yeah. I think it should be up to us locally to decide. In fact, let me put a proposal. Why don't we have a referendum on it? Because and I'm not, Rick is saying he wants 4 cities. I'm saying 1 region, and other people saying other things. I'm not saying you're wrong, Rick. I'm just saying my view is different to yours, and that's perfectly fine.
I think we should just join the United States, and then maybe Trump will give us lots of money. We can call it the region of Trumpagera or something, Niagara Trump or something. I don't know, and we'll get lots of money.
What you say? You put you move the U.S. border to the edge of the Niagara region.
That's right. We're gonna be the 51st state right here in Niagara region.
Oh no, I think we're not big enough. We would have to be part of. We'd have to be part of New York State.
No, I think what would happen is we'd end up being something like Puerto Rico. So I withdraw the idea. It would be a protectorate like Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Even if we called ourselves Porto Trumpo, it wouldn't work, I don't think. Anyway, So much for that idea.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any further thoughts on that, or should we move on?
Only that I look, as awkward as Bob Gale was bringing this up, in a sort of very fast, terse, abrupt way that he did. I appreciate the fact that he did. I think probably one of the few that do, because even though I really didn't, I want to avoid the idea like everybody else kind of, but change might be required here. And the arguments were set forth, and he got them moving on something that has been procrastinated on forever and ever and ever. So he actually made a move on it. Unfortunately, his character was besmirched horribly by the fact that he owned a historical, a very controversial historical artifact. Now, almost everybody knows that that's a historical artifact, but other people think it's a representation of his character. To me, to own a historical artifact like that is a positive thing, particularly when you take it in with all the other historical artifacts he has. When you look at that as a group, you think that's a very positive thing to do, to be a collector like that. Those things are now preserved for everyone. But no, they just singled that thing out, and all of a sudden Bob's a Nazi or Nazi sympathizers. I mean, we can understand the Jewish community going on crazy about it, because of course it's some people in the Jewish community. I think the vast majority of them even see it for what it is a historical artifact. And I mean, you could have Genghis Khan's crown. He was the most murderous person anyone can ever think of. How he laid waste.
Or something by Vlad the Impaler.
Yeah, you could have Vlad the Impaler's Impaler.
Yeah.
You know, well, I mean, seriously, like this is a historical thing, and that's the way I see it, and I think most people see it that way too. But the loudest are the ones that sort of get truck on this, unfortunately. But aside from that, I would say that even though it says that Bob was backing up an amalgamation here a little bit, it looked like he was going to do a sort of a more of a controlled approach. But let's face it, if nothing changes, nothing will.
Yeah. Okay. So one thing here, Gary's saying, bring back the OPP. I've said it a million times. $237 million budget is too high. We'd still have to pay a portion of that budget to the OPP if the OPP took control. But I think there's a lot of concerns in relation to policing in Niagara.
Well, there might be specific things, and it wouldn't. You could keep a lot of the officers you want. I think it's a good idea. That's a good thing to consider, bringing the OPP. Why not? We have them here anyway. They have split duty with the region, with the highways and so on. So I would say that that's something they might want to really consider.
Yeah,
using provincial police. We already have a full organization there. You don't have to duplicate a lot of services. You could have a Niagara division of the OPP.
But again, if you had like a fraud investigator, if you had a fraud investigation team that was in Toronto, that was the top experts in the province a fraud investigation team that was the top experts in the province, they could, if there was a fraud investigation that needed to happen in Niagara, they could just move a portion of that team down to Niagara to do that investigation, instead of having the Niagara Regional Police out of their depths, so to speak. And I'm not making any accusations about anybody in Niagara Regional Police, by the way.
A fraud investigation? What's a fraud investigation?
No, I said a fraud investigation.
Oh, fraud. Okay.
Fraud. If there was a big money fraud thing going down in Niagara, then that might be something that you would be better off having an OPP investigator anyway.
Well, yeah, you're gonna be working with the OPP in any case. So there could be a really good argument made there to go over the OPP and sort of dissolve the region. I think when Haldeman Norfolk got together as a region, they had their own regional police, Haldeman Norfolk, for all, and then they disbanded the region because it didn't really work for them.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they did later. They probably went back to Haldeman and Norfolk Police or whatever, whatever policing they did there. I can't remember what happened thereafter.
Yeah.
But the regional approach doesn't always work. So I would say that, yeah, that's a very good idea, because the police budget, and Karen, I think Karen pointed this out too. I think it was Karen. I'm not sure though. She pointed out, no matter what, you're going to have this walloping big police budget. There's no avoiding it. Whether you amalgamate, not amalgamate, go inside out and backwards, it doesn't matter. The elephant in the room is this massively huge police budget.
And also one thing Gary Wilkins points out is that don't forget we have the Niagara Parks Police. And essentially, yeah, if you get stopped or something by the Niagara Parks Police, they're going to call the regionals anyway, right?
Yeah, they generally do. Like, I don't know, like I got in a car accident on the River Road, and it was the Niagara Parks Police that took care of it.
Yeah, well, they got the reputation more of being like the Toy Town Police, don't they?
I don't know. They're carrying guns now, which kind of upset me when they went to guns.
Yeah,
I don't think our customs guards wanted guns. Most of the customs guards didn't want them.
Plus, we have the border.
With them. Somebody pushed for them, and then somebody pushed for the Niagara Parks to have handguns. Yeah. I think you're going backwards. You're walking backwards when you start arming people like that don't necessarily need to be armed.
Well, most of the duties of the Niagara Parks Police is just traffic duty, right?
Oh God, they won't get out of the cars.
Well,
they drive around Queenston Heights, and I told them one time there was these guys making a big mess. I think I wouldn't. Oh, I talked to him. Well, I did see him. He drove by, rolled down his window, and said something. He wouldn't get out of his car.
Okay, so Randy is saying Niagara Parks Police are Niagara Regional and are tasked the same as. No, because I've seen them call NRP officers in order to take over a situation.
Gary said, I respect the NPP more than NRP. Well, I don't know.
OPP,
they're doing their job, and I got nothing against it. When there was a lady officer that took care of when I was smashed up in a car accident, and she was the investigator, and she came into the hospital room where I was lying down and had bandages on, and I was banged up pretty bad, and she returned my coat. They took my coat for some reason. I was freezing out there. It was around this time of year too. Yeah, it was around this time of year. That was like the end of March that this accident happened. And anyway, so she was good. You know what she did? She just came in and told me, look, the guy was a criminally negligent driver or something like that. And it's just, I'm going to knock it down to driving in the wrong lane so this charge will stick. Right. Well, do whatever you want right now. All I want is a blanket. I'm freezing.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So they are tasked resource with the same, and others being to collect to replace. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know really how these work. So, but anyway, the main thing is there's this gigantic budget. It's like a big vacuum that eats up enormous amounts of regional tax revenue. Just like here in this town, we have 25%. One out of every $4 that you pay in taxes goes to the fire department alone.
Yeah, I know.
Anytime the fire department wants more money, they have to eat that out of other departments in the city.
Yeah, yeah.
So you wonder why your street's not getting plowed. Well, you don't have enough money for more plows because they have to give it to the fire department. So those are those huge things, and they will never change. So when you talk about amalgamation, how then do you say how are you going to save money when that huge bill is going to have to be paid by the Niagara Regional people one way or another?
Yep.
And as Gary said, why don't we bring the OPP in? That might be one way of
but again, we will still be responsible for a portion of the OPP budget in our area. You know that.
Well, of course. you pay taxes, right? So
yeah, yeah.
you know,
And even if the OPP brought with them massive amounts of improvements, improved efficiency within the police service, we would still be paying a large portion of that police budget.
well, so what?
Yeah,
The thing is, which one's going to cost us more? That's the whole
yeah,
point,
yeah. I know.
right? It is bringing in the OPP and efficiency, so it has to be put up there and studied. Well, of course, we're going to have to pay for it. You know,
Yeah,
like we're going to have to pay for it. The very idea, though, the reason why Gary suggested it is it might be more efficient. There are already a police force in Ontario, and we already pay for it with our taxes anyway. If we brought them in to replace the NRP, Niagara Regional Police, then it might be a better system. It might cost us less. I think that idea should be explored.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and exactly the point Rick is making, OPP costs more. Yeah. All right. Okay, let's move on. Iran's Qeshm Island is a current underground missile fortress, but it's a geological marvel. And this is the island the big island that sits in the middle of the Straits of Hormuz.
Yeah, I just like to remind everybody that tomorrow at 10:46 is the spring equinox.
Yeah.
So I just like to tell everybody that winter is over officially at 10:46 tomorrow.
Yeah, believe that if you will.
Don't count on Mother Nature abiding by that, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right.
She is such a fickle woman.
What?
Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So we were talking about this Qeshm Island, which is Qeshm Island, which is Iran's underground missile fortress in the Straits of Hormuz, which is also a geological marvel.
Yes, unfortunately, when I read that, now if you look at obviously one of the first things you look at when you look at the Straits of Hormuz, you see this really long island. As a matter of fact, the Arabic word for that island is Long Island, really, just like, however, it goes by the Persian name now, which is Qeshm. It's had various names throughout the year. At one time, it used to be an extremely prosperous area, so much so that pirates and emperors try to raid it and steal their stuff a lot of times throughout history. But it sits right there in the Straits of Hormuz. It's a long island. It can dominate the Straits of Hormuz. Now, if you're the United States right now, or even Israel, you look at that and you think, well, that's a good place to invade, because we don't have to go on the mainland. But lo and behold, the place is full of missiles and armaments and all other kind of things. So you want to bomb the crap out of it, but maybe don't want to land there because there'll be lots of body bags coming home.
Yeah.
But it controls that Long Island. It controls the access in and out of the Straits of Hormuz, through the Straits of Hormuz. And yet, when I was reading about its geological sort of uniqueness, you're looking at a place there that's extremely arid and for just about anything else, it's almost unlivable area.
Yeah.
But this island seems to be different. You can have gardens and things, all kinds of things, and they have these geological, particularly spectacular geological.
It's an area that is being used. Whilst it's a frontline fort right now, it's been traditionally an area where lots of people flock for tourism, looking at the rock formations, the coral reefs, etc., etc.
Well, that was what I was getting at. This is an extremely unique place. I think it's a UNESCO island. I'm not sure, but it could be just destroyed. All this stuff could be destroyed if this war continues, and it could really, you really make a mess out of something that I mean, it should be left to tourists completely and left to nature. But when I was thinking of this, how much of that's going to get destroyed during this war? Now, one of the things the Iranians have done is taken advantage of the underground salt caves and so on that are there. I think that's what they're, and that's where they stored a lot of munitions and a lot of missiles and stuff. So you know that the U.S. is going to want to drop some big bunker busting bombs on it. They have done already close to the Straits of Hormuz, not on that island. They did that the other day. They dropped a bunch of bunker busting bombs trying to shake out some of their missile sites. But so I'm just thinking, oh no, this island could really take a beating. I saw what happened to there
are 148,000 people live on this island.
Yeah, it's a pretty big island. There's going to be a huge military presence. So if they do go in there, they're going to put a lot of ordinary people's lives at risk, and yet it is really vital to the Straits of Hormuz. So you have to reduce the military threat that comes from there if you're going to open up those straits. I don't know. It's just, but you know what? I saw what happened to. I was at an archaeological site in Vietnam one time. It was an old temple area, very, very historical, very, very important. The U.S. During the Vietnam War, the U.S. somehow figured the Viet Cong were hanging around that historical site, so they blasted it to crap. And I went there, and there's these huge holes where the bombs would come in, and missiles and bombs would come in, and just enormous craters. And that is 1970 technology. So imagine what the bombs can do now.
Yeah.
Right. And they'll just make a heck of a mess of that place.
I saw the site in Riyadh where an Iranian Scud missile impacted. You know, it took out an entire building. There was nobody in it at the time. It was it hit in the evening or in the morning. I don't remember. It was hit outside of working hours, right?
Yeah. Well, in my particular case, apparently the Viet Cong weren't there, and the American Air Force dumped, millions of dollars worth of ordnance on a place where nobody was, and compromised an old archaeological site at the same time. So
they're
not that careful.
Just to put this in perspective, Qeshm Island is actually 1,445 square kilometers, and for your education, the size of the Niagara region is 1,854 square kilometers. So we're about 400 square kilometers larger than this island.
Yes, this is a very historical island. It's geologically unique place. And unfortunately, it lives right in the Straits of Hormuz. So I hate to see what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
And we don't know either. It seems like that Trump is really not running the show here. It sounds like Bibi Netanyahu is. The Bibi Netanyahu blew up the oil tankers in Tehran. The Americans definitely did not want that to happen. And they were angry at that, and they just blew up a bunch of gas fields. The Americans definitely didn't want that to happen. Trump had to say, "I didn't know it was happening," and I tell them not to do it anymore. So who's running the show here? They do exactly what they want to do. They're not following Trump's orders.
The other thing to note, of course, is that Trump said he spoke to former presidents about the bombing of Iran, but yet four denials from former presidents suggest otherwise.
Yeah, things are coming apart. Like Trump sounded like he's losing it. He said that he spoke to one of the previous presidents who quietly on the QT says, "Oh, I wish I had your guts," or "I wish I did what you're doing." and now bombing Iran. And they asked all the living presidents, did you talk to him? Like this was supposed to be a recent conversation. And I said, I don't know what the hell he's talking about. Clinton said, I don't know what he's talking about. Bush said, I don't know what he's talking about. Obama says, I don't know what he's talking about. So the only other president in there was himself back between 2016 and 2017. So he might have gone back in time and said, hello, President number 45. Yeah, I see that you agree with me that I should be bombing Iran. Remember, he was against bombing Iran. Charlie Kirk was against bombing Iran. J.D. Vance was against bombing Iran. All these people, one after the other, were against this. And he's just had his the director of the counterterrorism center, Joe Kent, has said that he resigned. He resigned because he felt that Iran was not an imminent threat to the United States, and that the United States was forced into it by Israel and the powerful Israel lobby, which really makes Trump look bad, because all along everybody said that Netanyahu's the one who's calling the shots. And here's a mega Trump guy, a mega MAGA guy who loves Trump upside down and backwards, who is a real war hero, who lost his wife, who was a soldier as well. And he is a very, very far right guy, and he loves Trump, and he resigned because he can't bear the fact that this is a big lie that's going on. That's not looking too good for the orangutan right about now.
Yeah, and Randy's basically saying Trump's a liar, and liars lie. He convinces himself.
Well, he lies all the time. It's just one lie after the other, and if it's not a lie, it's a misdirection, or he changes the subject, or he gets mad at you telling the truth.
There was a group who were counting the lies he made, and when he was the 45th president. I've not heard such. When he was 47.
I didn't really trust that, because some of the lies that they counted were stupid. I would have stayed with just major ones, when he says he's got the
I'm
best
with you on that one. I'm with you on that one, because a lie counter is like, in your view, there's a lie, but in his view, it's the way he sees, he interprets the figures, right? That's not necessarily a lie. And we talk about, so Rick says, so does Carney. One of the features we've always talked about with
politician.
Yeah, one of the features we've always talked about with politicians is lying, right? One of the big problems we always discuss with politicians is how they lie. Right. Anyway, let's move on.
Like Obama says, he said, he was talking to, I think, the South Africans. He says, every politician lies, every president lies, but when you get caught in your lie, then you kind of make up a story and apologize or whatever. He says the difference between the rest of us and Trump is Trump just keeps on lying.
Yeah,
and he's and he gets. He gets caught in a lie. It doesn't matter. He just lies. He gives another lie. He doesn't care if he gets caught in a lie.
Yeah. Okay. So moving on. Sorry, not that one. That was going back one. Uncertainty there's uncertainty because of this war in stocks and commodity markets, because the S&P and Nasdaq have seen slipping performance on the stock market, and in addition, we've got it's not just oil, but aluminium prices have been rising as the Iran war chokes the supply of aluminium.
Yeah, I didn't realize so much aluminum came out of there. I think it came out of Bahrain. Of course, they're probably using the enormous amount of natural gas there to fire up electric generators to then be able to smelt aluminum. Aluminum is probably one of the most abundant materials in the world, but it needs massive amounts of electricity in order to be refined down to ingots, smelted down to ingots. And if you have abundance, an enormous abundance of natural gas, you can use natural gas generators, and I reckon that's what they're using basically in Bahrain to refine or to smelt the aluminum. However, because Hormuz is checked, it's pinching off aluminum supplies, fertilizer supplies, as well as natural gas and oil. So this is becoming more and more of a nightmare for Trump every day.
So those prices are going up at the same time as the stock market going down.
Yeah, this is going to happen. And the other contributor, the U.S. economy and stock market is extremely resilient. Extremely resilient. It is kind of like the envy of the world, how much the stock market can take bad news and still survive. But this was a double whammy because the inflation, the U.S. inflation has spiked quite a bit higher now.
Yeah,
this means that means the Fed chair will not be giving a reduction in interest rates. Of course, they're being pushed all the time to bring interest rates down, and of course, Trump would love to have the interest rates come down right about election time. Then there will be a big, huge spurt of investment, and then the inflation that comes afterward will come after the election, so he didn't have to answer for that. But right now, the inflation has gone up. So you've got a war that doesn't seem to have an end at this particular time. The war is extremely expensive. It might be more than $1 billion a day. I've just read or glanced on something that the bill for the war might be a lot more than they're saying it is. It's supposed to be $1 billion a day. Who knows? The threat of China's moving its planes closer to Taiwan right now, full well knowing that the Americans are busy and they don't have enough ordnance to share with Taiwan if China attacks. This is putting everybody very much unsettled. Trump has got to get out of this war pretty good. He's already said he's won the war, a complete victory, but he just wants to be a little bit more victorious. I don't know what that means, but anyway, he says the war is over, pretty much done, but the Navy, for some reason, cannot open the Strait of Hormuz. I wonder why that is. So everybody else has got to, the war is over, and so hey, everyone help me open up the Straits of Hormuz. Well, yeah, buddy, thanks a lot. You start a war and you want us to finish it for you. I don't know. Anyway,
and like Rick is saying, 198 a liter is another part of this, of course.
That's going to go up.
He's projecting 198. Last night when I went through Lake Street,
good morning, Karen.
So on the 198 a liter, when I went through St. Catharines yesterday, it was 155.9. Past Lake Street. So I'm only quoting what Lake Street was at the time I went past it. Right.
Thank you very much for the short-term pain. Really, now it's time for the long-term gain. You get me there, Orange Man bad.
Right. The market moving up and down is no reflection of anything other than big money investors buying and selling to create movement in the market. That's true, but also they often take, a lot of what has been going on with Trump over the last year has been to make his friends in the stock market lots of money, by moving things, because the net impact of the tariffs has been to cause the stock market to drop. So when you put the tariffs up, the stock market drops and people get out of the shares that they're in, and then they buy at 10 or 20% lower.
Well,
right? That's been a big investment point. It's investment power paid by those who can buy and sell large enough quantities to provoke others to follow and fear, assuming that everyone knows something, right? And that's the whole point about it. And I 100% agree with you, Randy.
Yeah, well, Paul, I like what Paul had said. I don't know, like I was wondering what Paul was thinking of the tariffs. Now, he pretty much says, okay, that will slow down some of the economy and that. But he also said that that the American economy will get used to it. It became, once the tariffs are settled in at a place where they're not going to change and everything's been decided, there'll be kind of like this one time of shock, economic shock to the system. They will get used to it. Then they'll get used to the tariffs and things will just function normally thereafter. Yeah. It wouldn't have a permanent effect, but it would have a kind of, but that means you have to set the tariffs, get your ideas on those tariffs correctly set. Right now, what's making it very bad for the American consumer is because there's going to be a limited amount of aluminum. The aluminum price is going up because of the war. Yep. And he's put a 50% tariff on the aluminum. Yeah. So the U.S. Does not produce anywhere near the amount of aluminum it needs for its own industry, so it has to import it. And they're putting a 50% tariff on that. It doesn't work. It's not a smart move.
Yeah. Okay.
It is if you have competitor, like for steel, it makes sense because you've got a lot of steel mills, right? In order to stop them from closing down, so you put up the tariffs so the U.S. steel and the steel coming into the country are at least on par, or you got an advantage because you got a lot of steel mills. But what you don't have is a lot of aluminum smelters. So what you're doing is you're saying you got to pay 50% for aluminum, but you can't make up that. Yeah. It's like the old banana thing. You're putting a tariff on bananas when you don't grow bananas. Yeah. Why are you putting a tariff on bananas? That hurts the consumer. If there was an American banana producer, you put a tariff on the ones coming in so that your banana gets preference. But if you don't make bananas, why put a tariff on bananas?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right. Moving on. Niagara Falls Farmers Market opens this Saturday, 23rd of May. It opens on Saturday, 23rd of May. I misspoke. I said this Saturday. I didn't mean this Saturday. May 23rd, but they're not opening at McBain Centre. They will be opening at the Niagara Square parking lot on 7555 Montrose Road, and between 7 and 1 p.m. Now, the thing is about this, did they tell you, did you see where it's supposed to be?
Yeah, I suppose it's going to be in the Niagara Square, but I don't know what part of Niagara Square.
What part of Niagara Square? Because that's absolutely massive, right?
Yeah, well, I don't think it's going to be hard to miss. It was probably going to be at the back of Niagara Square there, maybe at the park.
Probably by the cinema area. Probably by the cinema area, I think.
Maybe around there, but it doesn't really matter. You're not going to be able to miss it.
Yeah.
If you go on, if somebody tells you it's in the Niagara Parks or Niagara, the Niagara Square parking lot, you're going to be able to find it.
Yeah. My best guess is it would be where the cinema is, because the cinema doesn't open till 1 o'clock anyway.
Yeah, I don't even know when it is. It's been so long since I've seen a movie.
Yeah. Okay. So that's it's
been so long. I said that the last time I saw a movie, the projectionist had a handle on his camera and he's going like
that. Okay, so the temporary site at the Niagara Square is going to be between May 23rd and June 27th, but they will return to the McBain Centre on July 4th till October 10th. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's open for all local vendors, farmers and artisans to sell their wares. The application deadline is April 11th, 26, and you can apply through niagarafalls.ca/market. That's their web. That's the website.
Go see my friend B. Bonfa. She's the Ethiopian lady that makes the fabulous samosas.
Okay, I'm just putting the website up there now. All right. All right. So when okay, that's fine. While in Niagara Falls, there were so many water main breaks. Okay, support local farmers, says Gary.
Yes, I'm with you.
Life is a movie, Dave. Life is a movie. Yeah, certainly can't ignore that fact. So niagarafalls.co/market is the website, and so just to remind everybody, okay.
I've chosen not to star in the movie. I star as bingo caller. I've made that decision in my life. My life is a bingo game.
So what happens? So what happens is that whenever there's a film bit, and they're going to do mystery bingo caller in scene 15.5. There's a telephone call for Dave, and he jets his way out to Hollywood to do a 5-minute. A 5-minute call of the bingo. How do you say the numbers? Pink number 12.
Yeah, I have to coach the stars, but it's just years of experience. They can't pick it up that quick. I got to show them, B14. B14. See, it's not that easy, right? You just try it. You can't do it, right?
Well, I seem to remember them always being colors when the one time I played bingo, they were seemingly colors.
Well, I don't know. Anyway,
yeah.
What else we got here? We got more stuff.
We're moving on. APEC seems to be losing influence in America because their attacks on Democrat Daniel Biss fell flat because he won the Illinois House primary.
Yes, this is very interesting. APEC, who was like untouchable powerhouse. If you remember back in 2016, when Trump won the first time, all the politicians except Bernie Sanders, who is a Jewish guy, went and sort of prostrated themselves to APEC. So they had an APEC convention. This is, of course, the Israeli lobby. That's very, very controversial because they say they are an American lobby, not an Israeli lobby. But the only thing they do is lobby for Israel. So, but they use American Christian Zionists and American Jews are the ones that run the outfit, and they choose any candidate from any party that is a strong proponent of Israel. So what happens here is they get this Jewish guy with the name of Biss, but he's not too happy about what's happening in Israel. He's not too happy about what they've done in Gaza. So AIPAC has gone after him. They don't like him. They attacked him. So they brought in all their money, and this is usually the death sentence for any candidate when AIPAC zeroes in on you and wants to get rid of you. So they put up a lot of attack ads on this fella Biss, so they wouldn't win his primary, but it wasn't working. So all the negative attack ads they threw at him, it wasn't working. So what they did instead is they got a different PAC and came along and tried to bolster the other progressives in the race in order to try to divide the vote. Yeah. So they started putting money into his progressive opponents, the ones that had the same ideology, basically, and they hoped to split the vote. That's the old trick that the Kennedys used to do. But anyway, so what they do is and the conservatives have done that here too. Basically, the conservatives give money to the NDP so that will weaken the liberal candidate. Everybody does the same thing, right? Liberals do it too.
Yeah, we see it all the time. Yeah.
But the big shock here is AIPAC has been extremely successful using these tactics. They knocked out 2 incumbents last year because of their huge amount of funding that came in. They haven't been able to touch Thomas Massey yet. Thomas Massey, his voters have their own mind, and AIPAC has not been able to work against him. They run ads like Thomas Massey is Hamas and the Ayatollah's best friend and all this. And it doesn't work against him because the Kentucky electorate has their own mind. They're not going to be persuaded by that. But it works just about everywhere else. And that's why so many of the American politicians, 75% of the Democrats and almost 100%, about 99% of the Republicans take APAC money because they're terrified of APAC, right? Sometimes it's not a whole lot of money they take, but they have to take something to make it symbolic that they're for Israel.
It might only be $1,000, but it's $1,000.
Yeah, and then they have to, and they got an APAC person that comes around and tells them what to say and what to do. Now, this powerful APAC lobby is losing its grip. It's been 20 years, though, since John Mersheimer wrote a book called The Israeli Lobby, which he described the extraordinary power of the Israeli lobby has on American politics 20 years ago, and nobody would talk about it. He's you could see him all over YouTube these days, but for 20 years he's pretty much ignored. He's one of those. He's a realist politician. That's not a Republican, Democrat. No, he's a realist.
Yeah,
and he may lean a little bit more to the right, but he's very fascinating to listen to.
Well,
anyway, he wrote the book 20 years ago with a co-author, and it hardly got any influence at all. But now, and that was like the 20-year anniversary of that book is just, I think, this week sometime. Anyway,
all right. Daniel Biss won the nomination by 4,000 votes, 3%. Over the next contender, and the third person was so 29.5% was Daniel Biss. The next one was 26%, and the next one down was 20%. So there were three that got 20%. So APAC couldn't make their mind up as to who to fund, eh?
No, they did. They were funding somebody they thought. Now this is a Democrat. This is a Democrat safe zone, right? So it doesn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican to them. All they want is to vote for anything Israel wants.
Israeli,
right. You have to be Israeli first, American second, kind of thing.
All right.
So they don't care what all the other issues are. Nothing at all. The only thing they want to make sure is whether this is a Democrat riding or whatever district. It's going to go to Democrats. So they're concentrating on the Democrat they want because they're the one they're looking at somebody who is Israel friendly candidate, right? Or Israel obliged candidate.
Yeah.
This fella is a Jewish fella, Biss, and he's not. He has some criticisms of Gaza. Once you start criticizing Gaza, then they put a huge amount of money in against them.
Yeah.
In another district, it might be two Republicans. Like, for instance, in Thomas Massey's a Republican. So they would go after, they would help his Republican opponent, All
right. Okay, moving on. This is one. Okay, you put this one up, but I'm going to own this one because a Chinese national was charged with trying to smuggle 2,000 ants out of Kenya. And these are in little like pill capsules, right? But again, hey, do you know what? There's a law on the books in Kenya that leave our wildlife alone. If you kill the wildlife, you can go to prison for a long time. If you try to capture it, you try to take it to zoos, you can go to prison for a long time, right? So,
that makes sense.
Being wildlife in the same way, as protected species, would you?
Yes. So you would think, okay, lions, tigers, ocelots, cheetahs, anything of the more exotic animal life of Africa. You think of Kenya, you think of Tanzania, you think of the plains of Africa, the savannas, and so on. So when you think of people trying to smuggle animals out of a place like that, you think of animals like that, don't you? No, but in this particular case, it's ants.
Yeah,
ants. And people keep them as pets. What? I thought getting a lizard for a pet was bad enough, but now ants?
Yeah. So basically, the Nairobi court heard that Zhang bought ants from a person for 10,000 Kenya shillings, or $77, right? 58 pounds, for every 100 of them. So 10,000 Kenya shillings per 100 ants, and he was caught with 2,000 ants. Yeah.
So a lot of them, he had them. They're queens, right? So they have them in tubes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it really sort of befuddles me that why do you want the ants in the first place? Now they want them for pets. I thought they may have wanted them because they're good for the garden or something like that. They do some beneficial, something beneficial that enhances it. The other problem here is that once you start messing with zoology or whatever the insect thing is, I can't remember anyway. So what you do is you start introducing insects where they don't belong.
Yeah.
You get invasive species. They might take off like crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And really mess up your environment. So that's one reason why you want it to stop. You see what's happened to the Florida. In Florida, they have monitor lizards and boa constrictors and iguanas all over the place. They don't belong there, and they're messing up with the local flora and fauna. We have purple loosestrife all over the place now.
Yeah. And it's the same with actually the plants that we have here. There's a big movement here in Ontario, for example, to make sure that we have indigenous plants within our gardens and within our public, private and public gardens.
Yeah. Now it's going to be hard enough to stop insects from traveling from place to place. We have the emerald beetle that's making a mess of things. We've had the Chinese ladybug. That little Chinese ladybug is displacing our own indigenous ladybugs. So that there's a lot of things that they can mess things up pretty bad. Yeah. So if you start trucking around ants, having them as pets, well, they could really make a mess wherever they're going. They could really upset the balance of the environmental balance. But still, I would like to counsel anyone out there that thinks that a pet ant is something good.
Yeah.
I would say that you're not going to get, I mean, ants are not just the snuggliest of things, you know what I mean? And they don't fetch a stick or anything like that. And, I mean,
and they are ugly creatures. I would agree. But then again, you're not an ant enthusiast, I take it.
Oh, I love ants, but I love them in the wild. I look at ants. I look at bugs and critters of all kinds. I love them, you know. But I mean, but you know, I'm not going to put a leash on an ant and bring him home.
Yeah, but you see, there are people who have ant colonies. Right, who basically what an ant colony. I don't know if you've ever seen an ant colony.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's a box that's about 2 inches wide that's got glass on both sides.
Yes, so you can see how an ant
2 inches thick, so you can see it, but it basically goes up. It's as big as you need it to be, vertically and horizontally. But it's supposed to be two-dimensional kind of nest.
Yeah, they should be big in schools, so you can see how an ant colony works, what they do, how they work it, and so on. It's very, very interesting. So that and ants and bees and all these colony type insects have a kind of like a unbelievable sort of energy, central intelligence kind of thing that they just keep working and working. In any case, I still say that, you know, ants are very interesting and in a lab or in a school where you see it and all that.
Yeah.
But, you know, like you say, but, you know, here Fido. I mean, how can you even see it coming anyhow?
Yeah. Oh, so one could. Well, anyway, yeah, okay. That's
what are you gonna do when you're walking your ant down the road and somebody tries to rob you? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Sick 'em.
Well, the other thing is to note that Kenya Wildlife Services have basically told the BBC, who this article came from, that they've got investigators probing currently a number of towns where ant harvesting has been long suspected to be ongoing.
Yes, and unfortunately, well, I mean, people smuggle everything, but these ants. So there must be some little bit of money into it. But
Yeah.
like I said, it's not a really great idea. And hats off to the Kenyans for stopping even ants going past their borders.
Yeah. All right. We're kind of at 8 o'clock now, Dave.
8 o'clock. Okay, I'll give another shot. Well, look, as far as the war is going to go, it's got to come to an end pretty soon because it's looking pretty bad on Trump. It looks like Bibi's taking control of the war, and he doesn't know what to do. He can't open the Straits of Hormuz. This is the irony of it. Trump is letting oil from Iran go into the world. He's not stopping it. He's not stopping the Chinese oil that they come and get it from Iran. The reason why he's doing that, he has to do it, is because he has to keep X amount of oil flowing in the world market or things will collapse. That's why he took the sanction off of Russian oil. And so he allows Iranian oil and he allows desanctioned Russian oil out there because there has to be a certain amount of oil into the community. He's really stuck between a rock and a hard place because he did not count on the Straits of Hormuz. I don't know why. His military must have told him.
Look, come on, Dave. Do you think the man he doesn't read a book? Do you think he looks at a map? He probably didn't even know where Iran is on the globe.
Well, he could do that. Obviously, somebody hasn't told him or he hasn't listened that, this isn't that good. You can bomb as many and kill as many, assassinate as many leaders as you want, one right after the other, and bomb the place till it's in smithereens like they're doing, like they did in Gaza. And then if you notice in Gaza, they still didn't defeat Hamas, did they? Hamas is still there. No. They're bombing the crap out of Iran. What do you think? Anything's going to be different? But in any case, this war is he's gonna need an exit strategy. He's gonna need a face-saving story to get out of this, or his Republican Party is going to get destroyed in the midterms.
Yeah,
and so I expect that he's going to find a face-saving story to get out of this soon. But right now he's locked in. The Iranians don't want to talk to him.
As soon as we get hundreds of American body bags coming back, his hope for getting the others in, Britain and Europe and Canada in, is that it's our body bags that come home, not his, right? But as soon as American body bags come home, which is inevitable within weeks, when you get into the hundreds of them, then you'll get the ire of the American people coming up.
No, he got gooned into this back when Obama was president. He insisted that Obama would probably start a war. Obama's approval ratings were low at the time, so Trump said that Obama is going to start a war in Iran to get his approval ratings up. And nobody should ever go to war against Iran. Charlie Kirk says no one should go to war. Vance, they all did, and yet he didn't take. He himself did. So
yeah.
So who's really running the show? Bibi comes and nags at him, and he gets his little worm tongue Lindsey Graham on the other. So his Bibi's in one ear and the worm tongue Lindsey Graham is in the other, and all needling him. So this would be quick, easy. We could do it.
I appreciate it's not the same today, Dave, but at the time of the Iran-Iraq war, there was an investigation, and somebody said that Iran's army was the fourth largest in the world.
Yeah, but that is so what?
I know it's not the same today, but don't expect.
What? No. I'm saying in Iran's got a huge army, but most of the army is used to control the population. The Soviet Union had by far the hugest army way huger than the U.S. and Europe put together. But most of that army was used to control the country itself.
Yeah, I know, I get it. Yeah. All right, but anyway, so yeah, but again, they can still fight a war.
So what?
Yeah.
Look,
Anyway.
look at the neighborhood they're in. Who's
Yeah, I know.
like they look? Afghanistan and Pakistan just put a ceasefire on the war they were just having, right? Iran is in a situation there where they're Shia Muslims in a sea of Sunni Muslims.
Anyway,
right? They have their ancient enemies, the Turks, on one border, right?
yeah,
They have the Afghans, which is an unstable regime on part of their border. They get the Pakistanis, who are a Sunni Muslim group that do not like Shias because they are heretics and they're run by sometimes an unstable country. Look at the neighborhood they're in.
yeah,
They had a war with Pakistan, a brief one, a little while back. They've had incursions back and forth with Afghanistan. They've got to keep that up, right? They've had the Kurds, of course. The Turks don't like them. Look at the neighborhood. And of course, they're going to have a big army, you know?
yeah. All right. Okay. So, and Dave?
I would just like to bring up Gaza again. Gaza is a nightmare. What the United States and Israel is trying to do to Iran right now, make it a Gaza. They won't be able to do it. It's too huge. They're going to try to destroy as much and kill as many people as they can. Well, not people, but they're going to kill. If they have to kill 100, 160 schoolgirls to get at one target, they're going to do it. So they got no moral compass. I don't know what it is with them, but this has to stop for no other reason. That Gaza has to be rebuilt. People have to go in there, see it for what it is, and like stop this apartheid regime. I mean, with the overwhelming power in the United States, it has to be put back into its place, and let it live in its country's borders. But I mean, right now, right. Lebanon is being beat up pretty bad. I mean, seriously, this has got to end. It can end, but I don't know. It's very, very frustrating. When I think of the children of Gaza, I cry. I do.
Yeah.
Anyway, without further ado, I bid you adieu. Pray for peace.
Yeah.